Are the stereotypes about flight attendants true?
They're like, oh, you travel the world. Like, is this what you do in all the cities you go to?
This is Mark. His job lets him travel all around the world, but it might not be as glamorous as you might think.
It's disgusting. I mean, I've seen it all back there, you know.
In this episode, we'll talk about the best and the worst parts about being a flight attendant.
How you want to fly, it can get lonely, you know. I don't think I've figured that out yet. That's why I'm so single.
What it's like dating people from all over the world, and Mark's opinion on long-distance relationships, especially with such a wild travel schedule.
I've dated a lot in Europe, too.
Mr. Worldwide, really. We talk about airplane secrets, flying etiquette, and debunk the myths you've always wondered about.
I have seen people go in the stalls together, yes. When you come out together, I will stare at you.
You'll learn about what dating is like as a flight attendant, straight from the source.
Why did my relationship with that flight attendant end? Let me think about this.
Welcome back to The Talking Stage, this time from Taipei, Taiwan. Welcome back to The Talking Stage, and Mark, thank you for being here.
Of course, anytime.
Let's start with when we met. I think that was one of the wildest stories in itself. So let's rewind to a few days ago.
Okay, so I was just going for my run. I always run through Chiang Kai-shek. I love looking at memorials and stuff when I run. I like the scenic views. And then I was just like kind of waiting for a little group workout thing. And then this random guy like came up to me and was like, hey, you speak English? I was like, yeah. And then I don't know, we just started talking and
the rest is history.
The rest is history, dude.
I'm not gonna lie, I was so surprised when I went up to you and I was just like, do you speak English? You're like, oh yeah, what's up? And I was like, oh wait, you sound like me.
Really?
So
because I feel like here in Taiwan, especially in Taipei, like Taiwanese people look at me and they can tell like I'm not local Taiwanese. Like they already know like, oh, this guy's from somewhere like else, you know, just even like how I dress, how I like present myself to you. So I was like, when you came up and actually talked to me in English, I was like, damn, do I really look like that? Do I look that American right now?
It looked like it was a run club.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know, I have experience working with run clubs in the States. So
yeah.
I was like, this is up my alley. And you were literally just one person that I picked out. I was like, we're going to see if he speaks English.
Man.
And luck of the draw.
That's his fate, man.
Yeah.
I love it, dude.
So if I went up to someone else, they would have been like, oh, sorry.
Hey, 不好意思，不可以讲英文。
Literally.
Yeah.
You grew up in the States. You went through your whole childhood. You went to school. And then now that you're living here,
yeah,
is like, you know, in your adulthood life. Like, do you think that it was a big culture shock when you first got here?
Yes and no. I feel like, I mean, just me visiting like when I was a kid, like over the summers, like it's kind of like I kind of knew the life here, but I wasn't really like immersed in the culture as much. You know, I would just follow my family around. But now, like, you know, I've been here for about 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it definitely is different. And it's even different like when I first started because I had a lot of foreign friends and we would just speak English every day. Whereas now, like, I think most of the people I hang out with now are more like local, like Taiwanese, like people like born and raised in Taipei, and then it's just like a whole different world.
For sure, yeah. I guess let's backtrack a little bit too.
Okay.
So you're originally from like the Dallas, Texas area.
Yeah.
So
Plano, Texas, baby.
Grew up in Plano, Texas. You went to school in Austin, Texas.
Hook 'em horns.
And then from Dallas to Austin to Taipei, that's like a huge difference. So after you graduated school in Austin, did you move here immediately, or what was your plan to get here?
Yeah. Okay, we can talk about this. So after college, I studied sport management at UT. I was a big sports guy growing up. I moved back to Dallas for a year. I got a job for a local hockey team, actually.
Okay.
It was fun, you know, like it's kind of what I wanted to do. And it was a very bro environment. You know, all the guys were just like, we're all like, you know, 22, 23, we're going out, hanging out after work and stuff, grabbing happy hours and stuff. And it was good. And then about a year in, I remember my mom asked me during the summer and she was like, hey, Mark, like you haven't been back to Taipei in about 10 years. And then I have a bunch of family out here. My grandma and grandpa still live out here and stuff. And they're like, hey, why don't you come out and, you know, just go visit them real quick. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like Taipei is a lot different when you're 22 and you can go out by yourself. And then when like the last time I was there when I was like, I don't know, 12, 13, and then I would just follow my parents around. So I flew over here. I was here for like I think 3 weeks. And then I think by the end of the first week, I remember I went to dinner with my mom. And then I don't know, I just had this gut feeling that I needed to be here. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I was like, this is where I need to be right now in my stage of life. And then I told my mom, I was like, hey mom, I'm going to go back to the States and quit my job and move over. And she was like, wait, what? Like what's going on? Like, you're all right, Mark? And I just told her, I was like, you know, I feel like this is where I need to be right now.
Yeah,
So she gave me like not really an ultimatum, but she wanted me to be responsible, which is really fair. She was like, okay, either get a job or, go back to school if you're going to move here. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So that's what I did. And I ended up enrolling into this local university as like just like studying Chinese, like 2-3 hours a day.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
How was university here in Taiwan versus going to UT and like school in America?
I feel like when I went to university here, it wasn't like actual school.
Okay.
It's like 2 hours a day. I think the class was from like 10 to 12. But it's kind of like the effort you want to put in because you're learning Chinese. It's like if you don't want to study, it's like no one's forcing you to do it. I was pretty young and in my early 20s, so I definitely did not do much homework and partied a lot, and I was just trying to like make friends and go out and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I mean, no one did less homework than I did. Like, I was not a good student.
Yeah.
After you finished taking those Chinese classes at university here, did you get a job here, or what was that process like of kind of staying here for full time?
So I was going out with my friends here in Taipei one day, and then one of my friends was like, hey, like I have a friend from California visiting, and can she come join us for a drink? I'm like, yeah, of course. And then this lady or this woman happened to be a flight attendant.
Okay.
And then she was telling me about her job and how she could, go back and forth between the states. Like, I remember asking her one question. I was like, how often are you able to come to Taiwan with your job? And then very nonchalantly, she was just like, oh, I can come here every 2 weeks if I wanted to. And then I was like, I feel like, look, I'm getting like goosebumps.
Yeah.
Right now. I'm like, wait, every 2 weeks, so I can like still have my life in the Taiwan, but I can also have my life in the States where all my friends, all my best friends are, and my family, of course. I was like, oh, so I was like, tell me more about it. And she was like, oh, we're actually hiring right now and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, let me just try it out. Let me just throw one application to this one airline.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And I'll just continue my life in Taiwan and, be an English teacher and just live life here. Yeah.
But then after you submitted that one application.
After I literally just submitted that one application, and then I did the interview process all the way here in Taipei. And then they wanted me to fly out. And then at the very end of the process, it's like a face-to-face interview, right? So you go to the company headquarters in the States, and then...
You flew across the world to go to this interview for this airline.
Yeah.
And then the rest is history.
And then, yeah, I got the job when I was there. Flew back to Taipei the next day. And then I like packed up all my stuff because they were like, okay, your training date's in like a month, so you got to be back in the States for that.
Oh, wow.
And I was like... And then I came back to Taiwan, and all of a sudden I'm telling everyone. After telling everyone, I was like, oh, I'm going to be here for 5 or 10 years. And then all of a sudden I come back, and they're like, and I'm like, oh, actually, I'm leaving like next week.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, wait, what? Like, what's going on? What's going on? What happened? I was like, it's okay. I was like, if my plan works out, you guys will still be able to see me from time to time, so. Yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
Wait, so you just full sent it, and then now you've been kind of living this, not like a double life, but you have like your life in Taiwan, but then you also go back to the States for work.
Isn't that just like a double life?
That's true. But that's like a dream come true, though.
It kind of does seem like a double life sometimes. It does.
Do you think do you find it hard to adjust between like being here versus when you fly back to the US?
Not at all, but I think how I grew up in Texas had a lot to do with that. Because I mean, I grew up in North Dallas. Like, of course, like I would say most of my friends from like school were like white.
Okay.
And then, but every Sunday I had my Asian friends.
Okay.
So we would all go to church together, right?
Yeah.
And then I feel like since I was like young, it's like code switching in a sense, like I knew how to like talk with my white friends and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when I go hang out with my Asian friends, like it's not like we act like differently, but it's like it's a different experience.
Okay.
And I think now like me, I feel like it's kind of like it was like kind of normal to me, like having like this life in like my Asian side, and then also having like my American side.
But then now you're kind of doing that more of an extreme scale versus like white friends Monday through Saturday, Asian friends on Sunday.
Yeah.
And now it's like you're only surrounded by Taiwanese people here, and
Yeah.
then versus going to America and you get like all this diversity.
Yeah.
So you've been a flight attendant for like 7-8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So you have spent a lot of time flying around in, you know, and obviously a lot of time living here in Taiwan versus being in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Which do you prefer and why?
Like living wise.
Living wise.
Taipei, 100%. Taiwan, most definitely.
Tough to beat.
Tough to beat, man. No, I love this place. Obviously I'm a little biased, of course, because you know my family is from here, and it does help a lot that I speak the language.
Mm-hmm.
But even living wise, I think having the convenience of just everything's just around you. I don't know, man. I just like it here.
Yeah, for sure.
I just like it. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. I mean, the language thing definitely comes in handy because, you know, I met Mark, like 4 days ago at this point.
Yeah.
But he has been super helpful in terms of helping me get around ordering. Like, if someone says something to me, I'm just like, throw it to him. So I appreciate your helping.
No, of course, man.
I'm just like, I'm hanging with a local.
Anytime, dude. Anytime.
Because you fly so much, is there another country or like city that you've spent a lot of time in that you really enjoy?
I would choose Spain.
Spain. Okay.
Spain. I love Spain.
Spain's a big country. Is there a specific city or part of it?
I would do Madrid over Barcelona.
Okay.
But I also like the south of Spain too, because I like I'm a beach guy.
Yeah.
And then you know sometimes you just need those chill vibes. You know, like it's just like very relaxing. People aren't in a rush at all, and people aren't like what's that? What do you call it? Like they're kind of like they're not running the rat race.
Oh yeah.
You know?
This is not corporate weapons.
They're not corporate weapons. Exactly. I love that. Don't be a corporate weapon.
Dude, that's gonna be a soundbite for
Don't
sure.
be a corporate
Don't be a
weapon.
corporate weapon. No, I do not enjoy the corporate weapon lifestyle.
It also helps though that I speak Spanish too.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy doing that. And then it's kind of cool because as like an Asian dude and also as like an American guy, when I like speak Spanish to these like the Spaniards, they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, like we're down. We can do this. Yeah.
Dude, you're legitimately Mr. Worldwide. Like you speak English, you speak Spanish, you speak Chinese, and then you have roots in Asia, you have roots in Europe, so you are everywhere.
You know, it's been fun. It's been fun. I can't complain.
Yeah.
I'm blessed.
Also, Spanish and Chinese are like extremely versatile languages. Like those, like you speak 3 of the most popular languages on earth, so that can get you pretty damn far.
Well, I think English, Chinese,
Yeah.
Spanish, the top 3 languages.
Yeah.
It's like something crazy, like 60-70% of the world. I feel like, it definitely helps because I feel like when I go up to someone and then like maybe a stranger, it's like I kind of have that confidence. It's like, oh, no matter what language you're going to speak to me, there's probably a good chance like I'll be able to communicate with you.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know?
As a flight attendant, obviously you spend time in the sky, in the planes, or in a plane.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. What is like a piece of flying etiquette that you think that everyone should know, but you're surprised more people don't?
Oh, yeah. Okay, wear your shoes to the bathroom, please. Wear your shoes to the bathroom. Don't go barefoot. That's not water on the floor.
Wait, people go barefoot in the bathroom?
It's disgusting.
That's gross.
You see like I've seen it all back there, you know. You guys are all just sitting down watching your movies. Like we go to the back and you just sometimes you see it, you're like, what the? And then you give your colleagues like the little like the what?
Oh my god. Okay.
If you're in a middle seat, you get both armrests.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that's reasonable.
That's etiquette, right?
Yeah, that's etiquette, yeah.
Because the window, you get the window.
Yeah.
So you can lean.
Yeah.
And if you're the middle, you get the both armrests. And then if you're on the aisle, you can lean this way. So don't be that guy in the window, or don't be that guy in the aisle, or woman in the aisle or in the window that's like, I want this armrest because it's not yours.
Let's do some method acting right now. So let's
Okay.
say we're in a plane. I'm in the middle seat, and let's say you're let's say you're middle seat and
Okay.
I'm window.
Okay.
Right. So I have my AirPods in, so it's just we're on the plane.
And you're taking my armrest?
Yeah. What do you do?
I'm like, do you want to? I'm kidding.
It was like if the window or the middle person, or if the window or the aisle is taking the armrest,
Yeah.
do you just give them a nudge, or like do you put your elbow to assert dominance, or?
I think it kind of depends on the person, but like usually I'll like kind of like as long as they're not like in my space, it's okay. And I'm sure like it's fine. Sometimes like your arm just gravitates towards there.
Yeah.
But like if your arm stays there for like 30 minutes, you know, I might say
We have a
something.
problem.
I might
Yeah,
say
yeah.
something. And it also, I mean, it depends on how long the flight is too.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's like a 1 hour hop, like sometimes you're just like,
Fuck it.
fuck it, you know, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
You know, let's just we can just do this.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if it's like a long flight, like you're flying like
Across the world.
8-9 hours, yeah. Like usually I like just say it in like a nice tone, you know.
Yeah.
Don't make it awkward. Don't make the next 6 hours of your flight awkward, you know, like
You just have an elbow war.
just be like, "Hey, excuse me, like you mind like, hey, you got that armrest? Like, you mind if I take this one?"
Yeah, yeah.
You know, just, you know. And usually people are pretty receptive.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I've never had someone like be like, "Oh, what are you going to do about
Yeah,
it?"
yeah. Continuing on that, and you said people don't wear shoes in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Another thing that people talk about that happens in the bathroom is the Mile High Club. Is that overrated?
I mean, I've never tried, but I have seen people go in the stalls together. Yes.
You say it happened.
I've seen it happen.
Are people discreet about it, or like what's the usual strategy? Like they just
Oh,
get up together, or
No, most definitely.
Okay.
Like people like they're not over here like parading like, "Woo, we're about to join them out." No, it's like usually they're pretty discreet about it. And usually it's like they kind of like don't want us to see it either.
Yeah.
So usually like they're trying to like sneak over there because sometimes, you know, we're busy, we're in like the aisles or we're like in somewhere else on the plane. So sometimes they just like try to discreetly get in there.
Yeah.
I've had some colleagues, I'm sure some of my colleagues would be like, you know, knock and be like, "Hey, what are y'all doing?"
Yeah.
But for me, you know, I'm just here to I'll say something. I'll be like, "Hey, it should just be one person per bathroom."
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like I'm not gonna like drag you out of there. You know, I'm just gonna be like, "Hey, it's only one person." You know, if you want to do it, that's up to you.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
when you come out together, I will stare at you,
Okay.
and I will give you, and I'll be like, "Is everything okay?
Good job.
Good job, accomplished."
Yeah. So at least you're not the Karen flight attendant that's gonna be like, "Excuse me, like, you know, I'm not gonna let you go and do it."
I hope not.
How often do you see that happening? Is this like a
I think in my 7 years, I think only a handful.
Okay.
Like definitely like less than 5. I think like
Okay.
maybe like 3 or 4 times.
okay?
Yeah. But you never know. Like sometimes you're sneaky, you know,
They
like
just get
sometimes
past
they
you.
just yeah.
You're in a different aisle. They're like,
Yeah.
"Alright, he's
Sometimes
gone."
I mean sometimes we're not like, you know, it's like we're not like eyeing the bathrooms too. Like sometimes people are in there like, "Oh, okay, yeah."
What's the worst part about being a flight attendant, or are there any? What are the downsides?
Yeah, for sure. The downside of being a flight attendant, I mean, depending on like your schedule and, you know, how you want to fly, it can get lonely, you know, because, you know, when you're flying these different places, you're usually with a different crew of people every single time you go to the plane. And then when you get to the cities, you know, it's like you kind of don't know anyone there. So sometimes like if you just stay in your hotel room like the whole time, it's like, oh, you know, I have to wear a tie to work sometimes.
Oh, and that's not fun.
I don't
Don't love that.
I don't really like wearing ties, but
Okay. That's fair.
no, it's been pretty chill, you know, like I'm not one to complain too much. Flight attendants are known to be pretty big complainers.
Okay.
You know, as long as you show up to work on time and like, you know, everything's like you know, you're in uniform, like it's pretty chill, you know.
Smooth
It's very smooth. Like as long as you like if you keep your head down, like it's smooth sailing, yeah, like you said.
So you said that there's a stereotype that flight attendants are complainers, or they like to complain a lot.
Yes.
Another stereotype I've heard is that flight attendants are, as the kids say, for the streets, or they like to, you know, be a little promiscuous. Do you think that's true?
Well, it depends on the person. I think this job will give you a lot of opportunities to be promiscuous.
Okay.
You have a lot of opportunities. But at the end of the day, it's up to the person.
That's fair.
You know?
To each their own.
Yeah, to each their own. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But there are a lot of opportunities.
Have you dated a fellow flight attendant, or have you dated someone that you've met through your travels?
Yes, I have. Dated a flight attendant.
Okay.
I dated a flight attendant. This was what? I think 2 years ago?
Okay.
A year ago? 2 years ago?
How did that go?
It was good. It was good. I mean, her being a flight attendant, she kind of, like, we knew each other. Like, we knew how, like, you know, our lives operate. We know how the schedules work. We could coordinate, and then it was just like even when we went to work, we would sometimes just work together, and then we just have like take trips together and stuff.
Because I guess you both understand the lifestyle too. You don't have to explain like, oh, I have to wake up at 4 a.m. and then I have to like switch my sleep schedule or something.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good.
Do you prefer dating? I don't want to say like in the airline business or like someone that kind of is tangential to your industry, or do you prefer just like they don't have to be related to flying at all. Like they can just work in tech or something.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Okay.
I actually, there's pros and cons for both, but honestly, it doesn't really matter what they do.
Okay.
Like I'm not going to be like, you have to be with the airline or you have to, I don't know, have a regular job or do whatever. But no, I don't think that's it's not a factor to me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, what happened to the flight attendant, or why did that end?
Why did my relationship with that flight attendant end? Let me think about this. It's been a while. I feel like I've like blocked this out of my head. I mean, I don't think it had anything to do with our relationship. Well, okay, obviously it did, but I think it had to do more with like me.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe like my communication wasn't as good, or maybe emotionally I wasn't very available and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. But these are just things I need to work on myself.
Okay.
Like it's when you're in the fire, you can't see the smoke or something.
Oh yeah. It's like hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it turned out to be like she wanted more from me.
That's fair.
Emotionally and stuff.
Okay.
That's
fair. But if you're not feeling it, or you're not in the mindset to like pursue it further, then there's nothing wrong with ending it there.
Yeah.
Sorry, babe. Airplane mode again.
Yeah. Well, she broke up with me, and I was like, oh man, like I really like her, and I was like heartbroken. I'm lonely, and I started like reaching out. But at the end of the day, it didn't help. It's like I should have just probably went no contact and been like, let's just end this thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so the flight attendant was 2 years ago. So you're 2 years in the future now. Are you seeing anyone? Are you single, ready to mingle?
I'm not seeing anyone, and I'm single, but I don't know if I'm ready to mingle yet.
Okay.
Yeah, because I just went through another breakup like early December, so maybe like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
But that relationship definitely taught me a lot. Even though it was like pretty short, like it taught me a lot about like what I need to work on, and I just need to like take some time and really focus on myself just a bit, and then go from there.
I think that's good though. It's when you're single, and then when you're able to work on yourself, you can kind of build up a better version of you, so the next person you meet kind of gets that update, right?
Exactly.
I guess if you don't mind me asking, the things that you learned about yourself from this past relationship, what were those things?
Wow, a lot of things, like kind of like a couple of my triggers and stuff.
Okay.
Looking back, it's like sometimes I would just get irritated. And then she could tell I was irritated, but like I wouldn't know myself like why I was irritated. But it was definitely, now looking back, it's like maybe like something happened, or like I did something or she did something, and that's why I was irritated. But at the time, it's like, oh, I didn't really realize. I wrote some things down. I was like, this is
okay.
Just like a couple things, because I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty forgetful, so it always helps us to like write things down. Yeah. Maybe taking them for granted.
Okay.
Is that something maybe, That's something like I maybe struggle. Yeah, I definitely struggle with. Not there's no maybe, but like I took him for granted. Like I feel like when I'm in that relationship, I'm like, oh, cool. Like I can still do my own thing, but it's like, oh, but she's kind of on the back burner now, and like obviously like that's
tough.
That shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen. Like just like making sure like she understands she's a priority. Or. Don't get complacent,
Oh dang, you got a good list.
Yeah, like even like be curious about her, like just keep dating her.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe that's one of the issues I have, is maybe when I'm like, oh, it's like, oh, okay, you're my girlfriend now, like we're already together, like I can like chill, we can just like chill. But no, you shouldn't. Like I need to, constantly like improve, and like it's still like you have to put the effort in.
Yeah.
I
feel like one of the most common complaints I've heard is that after the honeymoon phase or whatever, things get more comfortable and things get more stable. People kind of like lose the fire, and a lot of people complain about like losing the spark, or like the flames kind of dying out. So I think that's very important. So, be curious and keep being intentional about going on dates and making time for each other.
Yeah.
This could be this past relationship or another one. Do you have any red flags that if you see in someone, it makes you more wary?
Some red flags. If she has a lot of guy friends.
Interesting. Do you mean like a lot of guy friends in general, or like only guy friends and not many girlfriends?
Oh, that's even more of a red flag. I feel like
Okay.
if it's all guys, I'm like, oh, whoa.
Who are you guys?
Okay, all right.
What if she has like a, kind of decent like guy girlfriend ratio, but then she has like a guy best friend?
Yeah, I don't know. That's on a case to case basis.
That's a game time decision.
That's a game time decision, because I mean, yeah, sure. Like if you've been best friends since you're like 5-year-old, like grew up childhood friends, okay, it's different. Whereas it's like, oh, maybe we met in college and like we've been best friends ever since. It's like, okay, so you guys met like as adults, like young adults.
I'd still say college is like high school. College is acceptable versus like once you graduate and you're like in the working force, there's like no more school. It's like you had to make that decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you both are. This is a mutual thing.
Yeah. Because I think that high school and college is still like you're in the confines of education, and like if you're on campus or got placed in the same dorm, it's like it'd be like that, right?
Yeah.
How would you compare dating in the U.S. and in Texas versus dating in Taiwan or like in Asia? Because you're obviously in both places.
Yeah, I've dated a lot in Europe too.
Mr. Worldwide, really.
To be honest, I haven't really dated that much in Texas.
Okay.
At all.
Okay.
Because maybe I don't know. I think Texans, they can be, I know this is like huge generalization. I'm not saying everyone in Texas is like this, but it's like a lot of people, especially where I'm from, North Dallas, Plano area, they don't really leave. They don't really leave. So I don't really date anyone in Texas because it's like it's hard to find someone who's like more well traveled and stuff.
Especially compared to you, no one's gonna be that well traveled, right?
Yeah, but you gotta at least like
see the world a little.
Well, not see the world, but you have to have like aspirations. Like I have some of my friends back home. Sorry if you're seeing this, but they don't really leave the country too much, or they don't even go on like they just don't go on trips, man. And I'm like, dude, there's a lot of the world to see.
Yeah.
But dating wise, I mean, I think mindset wise, I definitely gravitate towards more of this like that American mindset.
Okay.
I mean, dating in America is like shit.
It's rough out here.
I think Taiwan is more conservative for sure.
Okay.
More conservative. If you want to date a local Taiwanese girl out here, it's like usually it's like take you out to dinner, like maybe like a movie or something.
With all this experience, do you typically gravitate more towards like European girls in Asia? I guess we're just gonna exclude America.
Lately, it's been more European for
Okay.
sure, but like Asian girls, like I have, like I'll still date them. Like my longer relationship was like a Vietnamese girl, like back in the day.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like lately it's been Europeans or even like people like us. Like one of the girls I was dating last year, I don't know about dating, but like we would see each other, was in Prague, and then she was this like Vietnamese, Hungarian, no, Vietnamese Czech girl. So like
Good combo.
full Vietnamese, but she was like. Oh no, she was half, but she was like born and raised in Czech. So
That's a good combo. I feel like European, Asian are usually pretty attractive too.
Very attractive, yes. But yeah, I feel like Europeans are like we were talking about like the open-mindedness and stuff. I feel like Europeans are very open-minded and they're.
I feel like the open-mindedness definitely helps because I assume when you are explaining your job and you're gonna be like, oh, I travel a lot and I'm like usually at some random place on Earth at any given time. That might be a tough sell. Or how do girls usually react when you tell them that you travel so much or like you're a flight attendant?
I feel like I have to like talk them down a little bit. They're like, oh, you travel the world. Like, so like, is this what you do in all the cities you go to? And I'm like, no, okay, it's not like that. So yeah, obviously like me being able to go all these different cities around the world, it's like, obviously I feel like it's normal too. Like I'm not saying like they're wrong for this, but like, I feel like their mind does wander a little bit because it's like, oh, this guy's flying. Like, for example, if I meet you in like London and then all of a sudden like, you see me on Instagram or I'm just like, oh, I'm going to like Rome like 3 times in a row. They'll be like, oh, like they're going to be like, oh, so what's going on in Rome? Like, why are you flying here all the time?
Yeah.
So yeah, that does happen sometimes.
Like obviously you've been in Taipei for 7-8 years. Do you think that this is going to be where you like settle down, retire, or is there somewhere that you think is going to be next?
Eventually, I do want to settle down here, but we'll see, man. We'll see. I mean, I've been doing this back and forth thing for a while now, and then I think I'm gonna keep doing this for a couple years maybe because I really enjoy it. I'm able to spend a lot of time out here with my friends and family and also have my life back there. But you never know, man. You never know. I'm not much of a planner.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell.
I mean, also just see where life takes you.
Yeah,
right?
just kind of go with the flow. Live in the moment.
Live in the moment.
Live in the moment. But yeah, I try not to like stress too much about the future.
Mm-hmm. You grew up in Texas and you have family there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see yourself ever returning back to Dallas?
Maybe if I like start a family.
Okay.
Like I would like maybe I would settle down there if I like have a kid or something.
Okay.
Because I felt like, I mean, just from my own personal childhood experience, I think it's like a really good place to raise a kid. You know, good schools, safe place, good community, like that kind of stuff. But other than that, I couldn't. No, I don't see myself settling back in Dallas at all.
You don't miss the barbecue and the tacos.
I mean, I can always go back, you know.
True, yeah.
But yeah, I don't really. I mean, my best friends are still there, and I do make it back there maybe like every month or two.
Okay.
But by like day 4, if I'm there for like 4 or 5 days, by day 4 or 5, I'm like, all right, yeah, it's time to.
You get cabin fever. You're ready to leave.
I'm ready, dude. I'm like, okay, I'm flying. I gotta go somewhere else. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
That's reasonable. I think that also, since you go back so frequently too, I think that you kind of get like, you're still in the loop. Like you can stay up to date with your friends.
Yeah.
And you're visiting enough that, you know, obviously you live here, but you're not missing too much because you're seeing them on a pretty consistent basis, actually.
I think a little bit too consistent.
Yeah.
You know how like usually when like you go visit your friends or you go visit your family, they're like, oh, Mark, hey, like, yo, long time no see. Like, how you been?
Yeah.
Nowadays, like, when people see me, like, even when I'm going back to Taipei or going back to Dallas, they're just like, oh, what's up? You know, hey, you're back. Hey, what's up? Like, oh, we just saw you like last month or like 2 months ago. So it's like, it's just like, it's cool. Like, I still have these groups, which is like, I think it's very important to have like this, like a sense of community. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm super blessed for that.
How do you juggle long distance relationships, or how do you, because if you are dating someone and you're going to be flying around a lot, like, how does that dynamic work?
I don't think I've figured that out yet. That's why I'm so single. I don't think I've figured it out. Yeah. I mean, a lot of trust involved, definitely, you know, with what I do, or even because I'm gone for like, sometimes I'm gone for 2 weeks, sometimes I'm gone for like a month or two. Having that trust is definitely important. But even if it's long distance, I think like for me, I think being face to face, like meeting in person is like very important to me. So like, even though it's long distance, like we could like there has to be a way like we could probably see each other like at least like once a month. You know,
if you met a girl in like Canada, you'd be willing to fly to Canada once a month, like Toronto. So it's like East Coast Canada.
Toronto. Oh my God.
You're like, oh, I remember I dated a girl.
Yeah,
from
I mean,
Canada.
I think I could make it work. You know, we could make it work.
Yeah.
We can always make it work, but it would definitely be much easier if they were, you know, just in one of my places, you know, Taipei or New York, or even Dallas.
Yeah.
But, you know, anywhere in the world, you know.
Yeah, if they're the right person.
If they're the right person, yeah. And then if you have that, if you want to be serious, you know.
What would your ideal relationship look like right now? Like, would she be a flight attendant too, so you guys can travel together? Would she be in like a certain city? Would she be in like, how would you describe like your perfect scenario or perfect setup?
My perfect scenario.
Obviously, there's no such thing as perfect, but it's like, you know, we're saying like the most ideal that it could be.
I wouldn't say she doesn't have to be a flight attendant, but I think the ideal scenario would be like working remote.
Okay.
You know, being able to take her job with her.
Yeah.
You know, and then I could like put her on my benefits or something and have her fly around with me. You know, that'd be pretty cool. I think, yeah, if you're looking for my idea, like I would put her on my benefits. She could fly the world with me, and then she could still work like anywhere because it's all remote. And then just being open to like explore new places. You know, we'll just take trips to like all over the world.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be an ideal relationship.
That sounds pretty ideal. But at the same time, I feel like it's also important. Maybe, like, of course, we can like do the traveling thing and spend time in places, but also maybe I think having a home base is, you know, like kind of, I think
It'd be nice.
It'll be nice too.
Yeah.
You know.
And then home base here, home base in Dallas.
Well, if she's working remote, just having a place where we can just chill. Maybe because, you know, you don't want to go like traveling all the time, you know, but having a place, whether maybe ideally for me, it probably would be Taipei because, you know, I love it here and
this is your spot.
This is my place.
Yeah.
But I mean, if she was in like, I don't know, like
Missouri.
Nashville, Tennessee, you know, cool. Like we can do that too. Like we can just hang out there, you know? Yeah.
Okay, so there's just someone that kind of has some flexibility in their schedule as well.
I think that's kind of what I'm getting at, huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
I asked you about red flags slash deal breakers. I'm going to ask you, what are some green flags? Like, what are some things that you look out for the most?
Ooh, yes. Green flags. I think physically or like appearance wise, you know, how she puts herself together, like how is she like well dressed, having her own career.
Okay.
That's important. I think that's a super green flag. You know, if she's like doing her thing, or even like if she's like doing like being a student or just like pursuing like higher education, you know, that's great. Super green flag. You know, obviously well traveled, going to crazy places, super green flag.
Stamped up passport.
I think this is a little bit more unique, but because, you know, like if we go out with friends, like you know, I'm bringing someone along with me. I want her to like kind of match my energy. Yeah. You know, like when we're going out. So if this girl is like super shy and she's kind of just like, you know, like we're having like talking, she's kind of just sitting there in the corner quiet. I want her to like, a green flag for me is like her like being social and being like,
so like integrated in the group.
Yeah, exactly. Like being able to like,
they'd be comfortable being like left on their own kind of
yes
thing.
Exactly. Like I wouldn't be like, okay, like you go do your thing, you guys can just talk about life. You know, and I wouldn't think it's like awkward or anything. It's like,
because then you don't have to feel like you're babysitting in a way, right?
Yeah.
I remember I had a friend who was dating someone. They broke up already, but like I remember every time she came to like a friend function, or like if it was a group of us, would be super awkward and like wouldn't speak unless he was present. And it was just like, I get that she's the most comfortable with him, but it's like, you know, if he has to like go to the bathroom, it's like she's just gonna be silent.
It's like, I'm shy. I'm shy.
Also, but I think there's nothing wrong with being shy or being introverted, but like you can still like, you know, hold your own in a way.
Have that energy upon you, you know? Being spontaneous.
Okay.
I think that's a green flag for me.
Down for an adventure.
Just down for an adventure, you know, just being able to like, just saying like, fuck it, let's do it. Like, why not? Like, because, don't overthink too much, you know, just try it out.
Sure. I mean, you've flown all over the world. Do you have a type?
Do I have a type? I was just thinking about this. Do I have a type? Preferably like my height or shorter.
Okay. How tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
Okay. Or 170. I don't know my centimeter.
I don't know either.
We only use freedom units.
I don't know either. Freedom, baby.
So 5'9".
I don't know either. 5'9".
Okay. Or below.
Yeah. And then what's my type? Active.
Okay.
In shape.
Yeah.
Exercise. Important. Running. Actually, I'm a big runner. I love running. So I feel like having a partner that can go like on my daily runs with me, like that's my type. Maybe having a more Western mindset is definitely like more my type. You
obviously have a very fun, adventurous life now, and I think that you have a lot of cool experiences in your back pocket.
This is what happens when you spend your 20s traveling the world, and then all of a sudden you're 30 and you're like, maybe in here, like I still like 24, 25, you know? I just never grew up, but
I think it's okay to have fun and do that, because then you're never going to get these experiences like any other way, right?
Oh,
like,
no way,
you know,
no way.
You can't buy it. You can't like pay for it. You can't, or like you can't pay for it in the sense of like you can't buy it at a store. You have to like go and live it. So I think these are great to have. But do you see yourself doing this for a lot longer? Do you think that you'd want to eventually like settle down and not fly so much? What's your outlook on that?
Well, actually, I feel like I've settled down a lot, actually. Like if you met me like 2-3 years ago, like before COVID. Oh my gosh, like now I'm just like you know, when I have my time off, I'm just like, I come to Asia, right? But I used to be like more adventurous.
Okay.
You know, like I used to go visit my friends like all over the world, like LA or Frankfurt or London or Prague or I don't know, Lisbon, everywhere in the world. But now I've kind of like, I feel like I've definitely, I wouldn't say like settled down, but it's just like I've definitely toned it down where I'm just like, okay, I prefer to spend my time in Taipei now. Going forward, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
It's like you're building, or like you're planting roots in Taipei, right? So maybe this is the start of the more, you know, stable career for
I feel like I already have roots here, but I don't know, because at the same time, it's like with my job, I literally have to fly back to New York to to like go back to work.
Yeah.
And it does take a little while. It's not a short flight or anything. Who knows? I mean, maybe I might settle down in New York, you know, if I get tired of hopping on these flights all the time. But
come through. I mean, I'm a little biased, but
New York, I don't know. It's everything's up in the air, you know, like we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
I guess, and last thing to end on,
Yep.
words of advice to someone who's looking to date, but they have a very like intense travel lifestyle, or they're constantly on the move. What would that advice be?
I mean, just explore, just make the most out of it, you know, just be social, just go with the flow, you know, you never know where life will take you. I don't know, is that even advice?
That's about it. Just like be flexible, be open to possibilities.
Yeah, I feel like I need some advice. Do you have some advice?
Do I have some advice for you, for like?
Yeah, for me.
I don't know. I feel like you have a very fulfilling life. You know, your cup is very full. You have a lot of friends here. You have family here. You have hobbies here. You have places you like to go. You have, you know, even when you were showing me around, you have restaurants and bars that you frequent a lot. You know the owners.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like you have a very well-connected network here. So I'd say just lean into that. And I think that when you kind of invest in something and somewhere, like you will get a return out of it. And I think that people will see that.
Yeah. Okay. It came to me. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay. My advice for people that, like you said, like travel, or like what was the other thing you said?
Travel, or have like a really like kind of spontaneous
hectic
lifestyle.
schedule.
Yeah.
Keep up with your relationships. I think that's very important. You know, check in with your friends, even through FaceTime or something. I mean, obviously it's better if you can meet face to face, but if you can just check in with your friends and maintain those relationships that are important to you, I think that's really important, especially in nowadays, because, you know, everyone's so busy, and, you know, everyone, you know, you have your life, I have my life, everyone's like busy all the time. Who knows doing what?
Yeah.
Just maintaining relationships is important to me. I think that's something like I really strive for. Yeah.
I think that's also a green flag too. If someone has a really good network of friends, really good family, you know, obviously if the family is around, if someone has a good support system, that's infinitely more attractive, because it's like, you know, they have their ride or dies. Yeah. Thank you for watching The Talking Stage, and thank you, Mark, for being here.
Thank you, Ryan, for having me. It was a blast.
We out here. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.